Good morning. I am in to do a little checkup, a little commentary on what's been happening. Today is Monday, and I think we have one more day after this in step two, so we're almost at the 20-day mark. Um, yeah, we're almost at the 20-day mark. One more day, and we'll be there. Um, that's what happened. Yesterday was kind of a chill day for me. The ladies went out. They went out to the grocery store and the market, and they were out in town maneuvering all on their own. I was very proud of them, getting where they needed to go, working with, I think they went with one of the drivers, and just, overcoming some of the insecurities of being in a foreign country with limited language skills. I'm up making coffee this morning. Um, And I was really proud of them. I was also glad because I needed something from Corral for my compost situation. And they were able to bring that also. I needed some more buckets for my patio compost bin project. My plan one wasn't working as well as I would like for it to work. Uh, but before they went into play mode and I went into lounge mode for the day, we had our circle time because the work does not stop every day. Every day, this is a 30-day intensive, and we are intensely working on healing every day. But yesterday, we started out really talking about the cost of our choices still. Um, looking at price and fluctuations in the market, we see that. And being able to take advantage of that in a real way here, the cost of doing life here being a whole lot cheaper, not just in money, but in emotional energy. And we talked about that in life and about, our life currency being the real cost sometimes of situations that we're in, how we spend our life. And for both of the ladies, they've talked about the heaviness of carrying some of these things through life and that really taking up, absorbing some of the energy, even in being here. The tension between doing the thing that you feel called to do, the thing that feels true, and doing what you've always done. That tension is there, and that takes energy to be able to hold that tension. Um, what else? Some of the words that came up, some of the emotions that have been part of the conversations in some of the healing circle. Things like fright, loneliness, confusion, regret, hurt, but also empowerment and gratitude. We talked about feeling unsafe, undervalued, unprotected, when holding values for safety and protection and nurturing and peace and respectful communication and certain expectations we had growing up of how we expected to be parented. And they may not have been spoken, but in real ways, these were expectations held and sometimes expectations conflicted. We talked about coping mechanisms. We talked about choosing our responses, but about the behaviors that we practice as a way of coping with the disappointments, the feelings that come up that we may not know how to process. Um, you know, Part of this is about being able to address uncomfortable feelings, um, and looking at how we've done that differently when we've been in survival mode. Um, and just the exorbitance of that cost is kind of a recurrent theme this month. Um, but moving to that place of gratitude, that place of empowerment, of sometimes that feeling of empowerment is about choosing. I'm going to choose to do my life differently because now I recognize some of these things. Um, we talked about non reciprocal relationships. about being engaged in relationships, and about this process giving us the capacity to see where some of the relationships in our life aren't reciprocal. And it's not that they have to be, but it is about choosing, how we engage in the world, and choosing to engage with people who have the capacity for reciprocity, the healthy give and take of community. And so we talked a little bit about that. I talked about trauma being the addiction that influence our relationships. And, there's a quote from Maya Angelou that we use every time as we close out Healing Circle, but there's one that's attributed to her that I really don't agree with in full. And it says, if you know better, you do better. I started this work with that kind of value system, and I realized that's not correct. Oftentimes in life, I knew better. I knew better. I knew better in some of the areas of my life. That didn't help me do better. I went to, was part of different faith systems. The beliefs were there. Love one another. And yet I saw people not engaging in ways that felt loving to me. I saw people engaging with me in ways that were not loving. And it wasn't because sometimes we didn't do better, we couldn't live better. And this work really is about values that you can live. Can you live those values that you claim to believe, or that you say your life is built on? And so we talked a lot about that, and about really how healing becomes that path to freedom. Taking us out of that survival mode. And we talked about that tension between deep healing requiring us to go to places that feel uncomfortable. To consciously choose to do something that's uncomfortable seems counterintuitive. Do this thing that's uncomfortable? I don't want to. Matter of fact, I've been trying not to think about this thing that's uncomfortable. And this process is asking you to intentionally go and do that thing that's uncomfortable. Go to those places, fill up those emotions. And even looking at our values around comfort. If I'm looking to just be comfortable, maybe I won't do this healing that requires me to really honestly look at what I'm feeling, acknowledge what I'm feeling, feel what I'm feeling, feel those emotions. And it's not just about living your values, it's making sure your values are sustainable. Because sometimes our values are trash, they're just trash. And it's also being able to have the tools to be able to evaluate that. This value that I'm living out, is this sustainable? Can society continue if we all were operating in this way? And this gives you the opportunity to do the work of reflection, to do the work and see how that value has played out in your life. Is it working for you? Okay, that's your value. I see it lived out, but is that working for you in a real way? And so the ladies are doing that. And so we've been talking a little bit about that. We've been talking about, healing as a continuous lifestyle. This isn't a one and done. We live in a world that's traumatizing. That's the reality. If you engage in community, there's the potential that somebody in community could cause harm. That's the reality. For me, that requires that I stay in that mode of healing. And it's not like, okay, this is what I'm obsessing about. It's really from the standpoint of when things come up, when life as the curriculum comes up and places these things in front of you, when you feel triggered, do you have the tools to deal with that, to explore that triggering? I feel some kind of way. Great. What are you feeling? What just happened? What's going on in life right now? Because this is about reconnecting with all of the tools that we have for helping us stay whole. And part of that is our emotions. That's usually the first indication that something's not quite in alignment. Now, it may be that the truth in your spirit is not in alignment with some of the behaviors you may be doing or something that's happening around you. Maybe there's tension because what feels honest, doesn't align with the reality that's happening right now in your life. Sometimes it's letting you know that you're out of order in some regards. What's happening around you is not aligning with your values. Now, it gives you the opportunity to evaluate, what are my values? And be able to challenge that in real time. So we've talked about that continuous nature. As you work on the big boulders, the small or fine detailing continues to happen. You may have dealt with the major traumas in your life, but what about the smaller ones that are also irritants, like little pebbles or little sands? Get a little sand in your eye, and it's an irritant that could cause major damage. Doesn't seem like it. One little grain of sand, let that thing get in your eye and get rubbed around, moved around, and cause all kind of damage. And so the process, we talked about the healing lifestyle, that this isn't a one and done, and really highlighted the culmination of our conversation yesterday, our group exhale after our circle time, was really about the importance of addressing the internal feelings and behaviors. It's not just what people see in public, it's what you know on the inside. And being able to do that work really as a reflection of your commitment to embodying love and these divine principles. Like, why are we doing this? Because I'm supposed to be love. And when I look in the mirror, that ain't what it looks like sometimes. But more and more, I'm supposed to be looking like love if I'm on this spiritual journey. And so we talked about that, about really that being the reason I deserve to live a healed lifestyle, where I'm healing more and more, and where more my life is filled with love and joy. I deserve it. But that also is the best that I can offer to my existence here in the world, So we talked about that. We talked about this being spiritual work. This is the core of our being. And being worthy of that. Being worthy of that. So the ladies, I think, came out of that feeling empowered and energized. Those were the two words that came up yesterday. Empowered and energized. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for being part of their journey. I'm grateful for the transformation that they are having in their life. One of my partners in a recent meeting shared that, healing for him, working with these tools, because that's part of our Healing First leadership with our Soul Safari. And he said, Jashuki, our partner in Africa and Kenya, said this healing is opening up more space for love and for purpose in my life. And he shared his joy from seeing people transform. And this morning I echo that sentiment. It's a joy as we journey together and as I get the opportunity to see some of the transformation in the women that have been part of this Gangsta Grannies global initiative this past year under our Hero Together programming. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. That's all I got for you this morning. I'm up having breakfast number 1 and getting ready for breakfast number 2. I got some boiled eggs and some plantain, got some sweet plantain that's, it gets nice and ripe. And that's what you want. It looks bad on the outside, but it really is the best way. So yeah, that's what's going on down here in Cuenca, Ecuador. What else? Soul Safari. I mentioned Jashuki at Tabasamu Africa Hub, the B. And we're getting ready for that. We would love to have you participate in our Healing Vacation Retreat. It's going to be November 6th through 13th in Kenya, Africa, and Kitale, Kenya. And we'd love for you to participate. If you'd like more information, go to the websites. The links are in the chat, nowastedtime.com, or the International Welcome Center's webpage, globalundergroundrailroad.com, and find more information or reach out and contact us, friends at nowastedtime.com. And we'd love to have you. You can also book private retreats here in Cuenca, both the Healing Vacation Retreat as well as the month-long intensive sabbatical. There's some dates that those offerings are available for the rest of the year that we've put out on my social media. But we've got some space in September and December for the month-long sabbatical, and some spaces in between that for the week-long Healing Vacation Retreats. And we'd love to have you connect. We'd love to have you join us in this Healing First movement. We heal the part of community first that we absolutely are in control of, and that's ourselves. And then we find the points of connection with each other, others who have made that commitment as well. And we see where that leads us. That's what I got for you this morning. We'd love to have you join us. Check out our information on the various websites and live life fully today.